welcome to the regular Salina Board of Education meeting of March 14, 2016. We will convene the meeting. Please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Davis, roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore? Here. Mrs. Piper?
Here.
Mr. South?
Here.
Mr. Shalabarger? Here. Mrs. Voorhees?
Entertain a motion to set the agenda as it is written.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's by Mrs. Piper. Second, please.
Second.
Mr. Gilmore seconds the motion. Roll call.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Shalabarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye. Time for the reception of the public. I saw Mr. Stewart here earlier. By the way, I see a lot of green shirts. Those look nice tonight. Mr. Stewart?
All right. Before I begin tonight, I want to mention that for all of you to keep Wally Ellinger in your prayers. He can't be here tonight. But I thought it was just nice to mention this. Keep him in your prayers because he had to set up hospice for his mother tonight, so he won't be able to be here. So keep him in your prayers. All right. Well, one thing that's become pretty apparent, abundantly clear over the last few months is that we have a community that obviously cares deeply about the education that Salina provides. So it goes without question that we're not content for our kids to come in second, third, 10th, or even 12th. I can personally say, and I'm sure I speak for CEA as well, that we're proud that both negotiating teams were able to reach a tentative agreement. So where do we go from here? Let's bring together, I propose that we somehow bring together various stakeholders, groups, teachers, community members, to voice ideas, concerns, in order to move forward from here. And then we can use all this information to develop a clear vision and plan for the educational future here in Salina. And then, together we could just exchange this information and continuously maintain our commitment to education now and in the future. And I think I speak for everybody out here, all the teachers out here.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Scott or Mr. Loris, did you want to address the board? Okay. Is Mrs. Henderson here? I'm sorry. Nothing. No one else to sign that. Okay. Moving right along. Approval of the consensus agenda. I'll make a motion to that effect. Could I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Shalabarger. Roll call, please. That's right. Okay. Treasurer's report.
Under my report for this evening, I have down under number 1 to approve the minutes of the February 15, 2016 regular meeting and the March 8, 2016 special meeting. And if you have any questions at the time of when I give each item, feel free to please ask those at that time. Number 2 is to approve the checks written for February 2016 of $2,731,567.51. Total revenues for February 2016 were $5,785,868.44. Total expenditures for the same month were $2,722,146.43. Number 3 is to approve the investments for the period. The balance as of March 6, 2016 is $15,707,000. $795.18. To touch on number 2 and also number 3, we did have the early advancement for the March property taxes coming in February. We'll receive the balance of those in March.
Do we have any idea, Mr. Davis, what percentage we receive?
What percentage of the full year?
Yeah.
It'll usually be about 58% for the first half, somewhere in that neighborhood. Number 4 is to approve the SM2 for February 2016. Number 5 is to accept the donation from Mercer County Civic Foundation to our intermediate school, $620. That's for the Glen Helen trip. And then my final item is to approve the resolution to join Ohio School Comp, the 2017 Workers' Compensation Group Rating Program. As you can see from the attachment, we do receive a pretty significant savings by joining that program. The effective discount is a negative 56%. We have joined that since I've been here, and I believe going back even before my time here.
So is the total cost then the projected group premium amount of $47,358 off of the 72? Am I reading that document correctly?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Would you mind, Mr. Davis, letting everybody know what that was? Just in this paper pass.
Based on what Ohio School Comp has used for us in the past, they estimate our payroll and then give us a projected premium. What they projected for 2017, $72,861. Projected group premium, if we go with their group savings plan, is $47,358.
Very good. Okay, moving on, where are we? Let's get your report. Yes, Mr. Giesecke, your report, sir.
Yeah, under personnel, item 1, recommended approval of Carol Hayes as a substitute for the remainder of the school year. Item 2, recommended approval to accept the retirement of Kim Beckstead, teacher assistant at the elementary school. Would like to thank Kim for her 31 years of service to the district. You can see that under attachment A. Item 3, recommend the approval to accept the resignation of Katie Mormon, Head Start teacher assistant. That's under attachment B. The last item under personnel, recommend the approval to hire Jackie Grader, teacher assistant at the intermediate school. Item 5, there's an addendum to the consensus agenda. That is, recommend the approval to accept the resignation of Julie Rose, teacher assistant at Head Start. That's effective March 11th. And then there's one item under resolutions, recommended approval of the lowest supervisor bid for $6,845 from True Green. That's a 3-year contract starting in 2016.
Can you tell me, Mr. Giesecke, where these two businesses are located?
The first one on that little handout that I gave you, that's Lima, and the other one is Indiana. I'm not real sure what part of Indiana they were from, but it's from the state of Indiana.
And the local companies, the more local, that did not bid this year?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, last year, we lost a couple of companies that did last year because I think there was probably a discrepancy or the largest difference in price on the bids, so.
Well, and looking at these two bids, are we getting everything we specified for in the bids?
I think
So
so.
hidden costs?
I think we are.
Okay.
Did you announce how much this was?
Yeah,
Specify that one. Okay.
$6,845?
Yeah.
Yes.
And where does that run as far as like in past years? Are we right on or is this higher?
Yeah, I think it was like $20 less this year than it was last year.
Okay.
For 3 years?
Well, that's $6,845 a year.
A year. And the other one was $17,000 a year?
Yes.
Or for the whole 3
Yes,
years?
$17,187.40.
Okay.
Moving right along, anything else, Mr. Giesecke?
That's it, thank you.
Dr. Schmitz?
Thank you. We had nothing under the personnel this month. We have a resolution to approve the 2015-2016 Salina High School early graduates. They are listed in attachment 1.
Could you tell us how many there were?
I believe 18. Under TriStar personnel, approve a $500 stipend for Marcia Helm-Jarvis for writing a grant to the innovative strategies for developing college and career readiness of students with disabilities that will be paid for by TriStar. A TriStar resolution, approve a TriStar advisory referral number 122 to purchase 3 welders for the welding program. And again, that cost is spread among all the TriStar schools.
Without my attachment open, do you know the dollar amount on that?
2 were the same price and 1 was a different price. I believe the total
Is it right
was close to 30,000 for all 3.
there? Which our TriStar gonna have?
It's attached.
7,000,
Yeah, that was not something.
well, and another
That was
10,000. You have more than
2 at 7, I believe, and 1 at 10, so about 24 total.
Thank you.
Attachment number 4 was a Head Start report. Then under number 7, we have a first reading of the board policies and guidelines. Again, we read over those 1 month, and then the following month, we will go and approve, give you extra time to read over all of those board policies and guidelines.
Was our server down this afternoon? No? I could not access those this afternoon, early afternoon, so it's working now.
Other business by board and administration. Letter A, approve the following contract. That's the end of the consensus agenda, so we need to take the vote.
Yeah.
I don't have any numbers. Does anybody want to remove anything from the consensus agenda for discussion?
No, but I thought the addendum was to, never mind, that was Mr. Geese.
Anyone else?
Also approve the resignation of Julie Rose, did you do that, too?
You did.
Fumbling here, okay. All right.
You all set?
Yes.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schellenbarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Under item number 8, letter A, that item becomes invalid due to your vote that you just passed, accepting the resignation of Julie Rhodes. So we move on to letter B, to approve a 3-year contract between the Salina Education Association and the Salina City School District Board of Education, dated September 1st, 2015 through August 31st, 2018.
So moved. Second. Discussion.
I guess I would just like to say that when we started on this process last fall, I did state that I could not accept any agreement that would drive this district into deficit spending. Unfortunately, this agreement does just that and will require a new money levy, a reduction plan, which may very well result in the layoff of some teachers, especially the new ones that we were looking to protect. So, I've heard this touted as a victory, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope our numbers are wrong. But if it's a victory, I hope the cost isn't too high.
And I would like to add that probably all my years on the board, I've never been in such conflict over an issue that I had to vote. Being right there with Matt last fall through the summer, our plan was to stay close to spending the money we had coming in annually. We went from negotiating a 2-year contract to suddenly within the last hours a 3-year contract that will put us in deficit spending for whatever time it takes to pass a new levy in order to fund that revenue. And we have not yet established a plan for doing that. I would never go buy a new car and not know how I was going to spend my money for it, how I get the money. If my monthly income wouldn't make that payment and I didn't have another job to rely on, then I dip into my savings. If I've got it and don't need it for something else, fine. Again, there's no plan. I agree with Mr. Gilmore, this will cause significant. I hope that, as Mr. Stewart said, that the community is behind this, that they will get out there and support the need for incoming money. We've got probably 50% of our students on free and reduced lunch. If they can do it, great, that will be wonderful. And I've never begrudged one person sitting out there the kind of raises. But I'm sorry, some people with a 30% increase, I know that goes back over 7 years. That's a lot of money in the pocket for people.
Thank you, Mr. Piper. Anyone else? I guess my response would be, being a new board member, that we did approach the treasurer many times about the revenue stream, the expenditures. And I think that it comes down to more of a different philosophy of looking at numbers rather than the numbers themselves. So it is my hope and it is my belief that we can sustain this and that we will be able to fund the 3-year contract. That's my belief. Comments, we're ready for roll call. I believe Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis, was there, I'm not sure I'm understanding what you just said, Mr. Snowden. So the money you said from the treasurer, there was a different way of looking at it? Could you repeat that again from my understanding?
Yes, I said that. I visited the treasurer many times and I looked at the numbers and I said it is my belief that we can sustain the contract with the numbers that were projected in the 5-year forecast. That is my belief. And I think that that can and will be done.
But you're not saying it's not without deficit spending from incoming revenue?
I would prefer not getting into the definition of deficit spending, and I understand where you're coming from, and I understand your concern. Both of yours. And I think that both of them were, in the middle of negotiations, they were both regarded and respected.
Yes, they were.
And,
But I don't think we've ever used the term with the community that the need for additional revenue means either income tax or additional property tax.
well, I think that the discussion has been going on about increasing our revenue stream and also reducing our expenditures. So I think that's been part of the discussion as far as I know from day one. But, again, I understand. Mrs. Voorhees, Mr. Selberg?
I'm in total agreement with you, Mr. Sun.
And I have high hopes that everything will turn out to the best.
If the board please, I have prepared a brief statement I would like to read, if that's okay with the member of the board.
Regarding this issue?
Correct.
Absolutely.
I put a lot of thought into this, and I wanted to make sure that my position on the matter was clear. So I'll read directly from my statement. In my opinion, this is a bad deal financially for the district. In the short term, the district will be forced to use funds from the cash reserve that stood at $8.5 million at the end of fiscal year 2015 in order to cover shortfalls in revenue versus expenditures. In the long term, this deal will require the district to seek additional revenues or extensively cut expenditures. The district faces additional financial pressure from increasing open enrollment numbers and a crumbling capital environment. At some point, the district must seek support from the community for funds to construct new buildings or substantially update the current buildings. An increase in operating funds will undermine this pursuit. The district has benefited from two substantial revenue increases, significant property tax increases, and the school district state aid. With these recent increases, I do not anticipate any large substantial increases in any revenue areas in the future. It would have benefited the district to find a smaller settlement amount for 2 years and look at the full impact of these increases to these particular areas. If the board votes to accept the deal, I hope it fosters cooperation where all parties from the board members, district staff and administrators, and community members can look not at the past but to the future and contribute to the success of the district. Thank you for letting me say my statement.
Absolutely. And I'll ask this question. Will the staff that is here tonight cooperate? Thank you.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
No.
Mrs. Piper.
No.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Item number 8, under informational items, the Franklin B. Walters Award Banquet is scheduled for Wednesday, March 30th, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. at Romer's Catering and Entertainment. That facility is here in Salina, and it changed this year. Spouses are invited.
Good word at a time. Is there anything else that we, it's not on the agenda, anything else that we?
Mr. Davis, last fall, I brought up substitute pay. Have you had any chance to look at that?
I know we are substantially low in substitute pay, from teachers to custodians, all the way across the board. I have not had an opportunity to do, with the current state of negotiations, it hasn't been an item that's been at the front of my mind, but I will take a look at that and we can come up with some numbers to present to the board, see if we can't bring those numbers up.
Thank you.
The county superintendents began that discussion as well on Friday, so we're already looking at that, Mrs. Spicer.
We are discussing a percentage increase. Proposed.
I would assume we were looking more at what we could offer to get people here, because I understand there's quite a turmoil out there,
Right.
or lack of sales that rather, I should have said. And then I wondered if you had any special meetings planned in order to start some strategic planning for
I mean,
the welfare of the community.
it's just been discussed, but there's not been a meeting date established.
Okay.
Just informal.
This is been discussed between you and the administration, or just you?
Just in passing, I mentioned something, I think, to Mr. Shemizian about, do we need another meeting to discuss keeping this type of a situation, lack of communication from happening? We need to keep everybody on board so that we can move forward. And just that kind of a discussion. And also, I think, with some of the membership.
Now, I'm talking about a levy campaign or.
That's what I was-
Okay, all
That's what I
right.
was discussing.
Well, for the 5 of us, the communication, I would think, would be a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wondered if you had any plans.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, briefly, please. Go ahead.
I'm Michelle Miller, I'm a kindergarten teacher. Mrs. Piper, a couple of board meetings ago, you admitted that you knew that the Salina City Schools needed a levy, but you were not going to head that up. Isn't that your job?
My job to head up the committee, normally those successful committees have come from community-driven members.
Aren't you the head of the community? The board?
Obviously no longer.
Isn't that the board's job?
Well,
I asked for a meeting, there should be some place.
yeah, I
No, not now, but in the past. I mean, a couple of board meetings ago, if it's on tape, you sat up there and said, I know we need a levy, but I'm not going to do that because if it comes from me, it's not going to, that's not the attitude we need from the board.
Mrs. Miller, I'll have that, but fair statement. I think what we need as far as, you know, future levy committee, if it's going to that, it would be nice to have a cooperation between the board, the membership, the community, staff.
Right, and I absolutely agree with that, Mr. Sell, and I appreciate what you're doing.
And I'm afraid I thought she addressed me. Did she not address me, Mr. Sell? If I made that statement, I believe in September, Mr. Matt Overman was sitting down there, and I said, I have worked on every levy committee that has ever gone out to this community. I want door to door, poster by poster, leaflet by leaflet. I've not seen everyone at this table do that. So, have I been a bad board member? Make your own decision. If I said that, I would like you to show me the tape, Mr. Sandler, perhaps you could help with that. I don't know if that was on tape. I do not recall making that statement.
I know
But in
it
the
was
past-
September, I believe it was this year.
This,
In January?
I think go, guys.
Well, if that's the case, I guess I would like someone to substantiate that with notes or a video or something, because I do not recall it. In the past, the most successful campaigns have been community-led, because citizens will say to us, sure, the teachers go door to door because they want more grades. That's what community members that are not in your corner say to us on a regular basis.
Thank you, Mrs. Piper. There are no more items on the agenda for tonight, and so if there's no more business with the board. Thank you for coming. We stand adjourned.